Hello, everybody. Welcome to another live stream, another Roma Press live stream where I guess we come together to make sense of what happened in the previous match, the match that Roma came out of with only a draw to show for all their effort and madness and absolute misery. It was 1-1 against Torino, and we are here today to try and break it down. And I wanted to get your input. I want to get your thoughts. So as I wait for more people to come in, I want to thank the ones that are already here. So I already see. Wow, that's fantastic. We got a viewer from Ethiopia. That's fantastic. So hello, thank you for joining us. Um, Hi again. I know we have a good group of people that regularly tune in to these live streams, so it's always very encouraging to see people join us. Um, Here again, kind of sad, kind of eh. Yeah, I know what you mean. Hi, Michael. Thank you for joining me. I don't expect today to see a lot of people tune in because at the end of the day, we all interpret football differently. We all live it differently. I guess a late draw against Torino is not the most exciting result. So that's all I can think of right now is that um, people will will either be very happy when there is a win, either they will be very sad because they want to rant when we lose, and when there is a draw they're mostly on the fence, usually indifferent. They want to see the team move on to the next game. So okay, I see we have Jay Macklin, one of our good patrons. Buongiorno, buongiorno. Um, it's nice. It's nice to be able to come together and share a bit of frustration. So just give me your thoughts, whatever is on your mind after last night. Just write it in the chat. I'll try to respond. I want to see if you guys have something worthwhile to say, because everything I think I had on my mind, I just poured it out on the podcast, which is out now. So if you haven't done so already, you can listen to our latest episode, which we recorded last night right after the match. You can watch it here on YouTube on our channel. You can listen to it on all platforms. It's available, and that's where John and I sort of try to try to come to, I think, a conclusion that, listen, we're 5 games into this new season and nothing is lost. The problem is that the only ones who can do something about this is Roma. They're the only ones who can change the course of the season. So right now we're not in a positive run. I think the enthusiasm from the Empoli game kind of wore off. I'm pretty sure that most people feel that way. We've encountered some issues. We've suffered some injuries, and last night's result, I think, is very telling of the moment that we are living in. So Roma get a hard fought lead near the final minutes of the match against Torino, a dirty, scrappy game, really just, the typical match you'd expect against Torino in their own home. And we somehow let it slip away from us, which is not something you want to see from a team that has been led by Jose Mourinho for 2 consecutive years, a team that has made 2 consecutive European finals. You want to see a different level of maturity, which unfortunately Roma did not display last night. So, as I have my afternoon espresso, let me check on you guys. Hello, Jay Conrad. Feel a bit sad. We really needed the points. I told you guys. I said it on on the previous episode, the one right before Torino. I said it that I will take anything that results in a win from Torino. I wanted us to win exactly the way we were supposed to win. Romelu Lukaku, one shot on goal, he scores. I wanted that. I wanted a one goal win with Roma ready to just, park the bus near the final minutes, keep a clean sheet, and move on to Genoa. Unfortunately, we see that, if you don't remain focused, you know, it's what happens. Teams in Serie A make you pay for it. We saw it this weekend. Lazio dropped points. Uh, Juve dropped points. Napoli dropped points. And in the end, Roma dropped points as well, which is, it's the shame is exactly in that, because I think at this point we expect Roma to display a certain level of maturity, right? If they want to be top dogs, if they want to be up there with the teams competing for Champions League football, they need to bring these games home. Pure and simple. Lukaku scores, you shut up shop, you put all your defenders out there, and you don't concede, or you keep pressing on and you get a second goal. But we know that that is unlikely for Roma to happen in the final minutes of a game, especially since they played on Thursday, they played now on Sunday, and they're gonna play again on Wednesday. Um, Nothing is lost, Andy, but we're dropping points. Obviously, no question about it. We are dropping points, precious points, points that at the end of the season they count. For me, the only thing is that you know uh, there is no external source of happiness. There is no external, savior. There is no white knight coming in to save the day for you. Roma have to figure these things out among them. They cannot rely on the transfer window. They cannot think of changing the coach. They cannot think of changing the players. They have to figure these things out themselves. That's the only way. And I wouldn't say that this team is so untalented that they can't do it. There's plenty of talent on this roster. There's plenty of quality on this roster. So we are looking at a team that will have to sit down, get together, analyze these mistakes, because there are mistakes. It's not even that Roma have been bad. It's that they've made some really horrendous mistakes. A team that last season was extremely solid defensively now is conceding basically game in, game out. Hello, Eric. I wonder why Jose didn't use the bench and get more possession of the ball in the last 15 minutes. I think that's what people took issue with, right, Eric? Last night, Jose Mourinho really refused to make any sort of meaningful substitutions. Um, in his post-match comments, Mourinho claimed he liked what he was seeing from the team. He didn't want to disrupt that. He said Azmoun doesn't have the minutes in his legs. Aouar wasn't feeling at his best, and Pellegrini was on the bench but wasn't really available. Pellegrini will probably play on Wednesday. The point that Mourinho, I think, he was kind of disguising the fact that I think that was his veiled way of saying I am at fault, but at the same time, I'm not at fault. Like, there is something wrong in my decision making, but at the time that the match was unfolding, I thought the team was good. And I actually, last night, Mourinho, I don't think many people expected this, but he went at length praising the team. He praised Paredes, he praised Cristante, he praised Ndika, Llorente. He said Llorente had a good game. He praised the Dybala, he praised Lukaku. So in a match that saw Roma concede a disappointing late equalizer, Mourinho was surprisingly optimistic. He even said that, well, I know we are looking at our position in the standings, and it's not nice. It's quite ugly at the moment, but it's not where we will be in January. So he had the confidence to say that after the performance and the result that we witnessed last night. So it was a very, very strange post-match media appearance from Mourinho, because perhaps people would have expected him either to take more of the blame on himself or be more critical of the performance. Surprisingly, Mourinho was very, very positive about it. Let's see what else, guys. Wavy says, "Am I the only one who thought it was a solid game, but we just drew on some small details that needed to be more ironed out in the coming weeks?" I think that's what Mourinho was pointing to, that he saw improvement, for example, in the two-man midfield. He pointed specifically at Leandro Paredes and Brian Cristante and said, I like what they're doing. I like that Cristante is embracing that new role that he's playing in. I like that they're getting along, that something is coming out of it. And he also said, uh, I know we're conceding, but I expect this team to stop conceding so much soon. So, make it of it what you want. I think Mourinho has very often he has this I wouldn't call it a visionary, but whenever somebody expects him to react one way, he reacts differently. And I can't help but when this guy says something like that, like, we're not going to be conceding like this anytime soon, or we're not going to be in this position in the table come January, I still feel very confident in what he's telling me. Like, he's a perfect he's a perfect salesman. He sells me this idea of a Roma that will eventually learn from their mistakes, and I think we have to hope and pray that it happens. Hi, Mazin, another good patron of ours. The draw sucks, but let's hope lessons learned to move forward. And I agree. It's disappointing to keep saying the same thing, because at some point in time you expect this team to actually learn their lessons, something that hasn't occurred. And it's weird, right? Because think about it. Think about the games that we played last season. Um, Real Sociedad, Bayer Leverkusen, two rounds of games that showed that Roma know when the assignment is keep a clean sheet, defend at all costs, bring the result home, right? I mean, we went to San Sebastian to play against Real Sociedad, and kept a clean sheet because we had won the previous round 2-0, right, against them at the Olympico, and we knew that the assignment was let them play, let them have possession, but we're gonna keep a clean sheet no matter what happens. And last night, you were minutes away from bringing in what would have been an incredible win. I don't think people realize how important and impactful a win of that kind, a scrappy, gritty win, one shot on goal, you know, one goal by Romelu Lukaku. It would have those are games that like I said in the previous podcast, they make themselves felt throughout the season. You can look back on that win and say, well, look at it, that's who we are. And the same thing with the loss or with a draw of this kind. I mentioned the result against Sassuolo last year in November, when Mourinho had that falling out with Karsdorp. Same thing. Roma all of a sudden find themselves in the position of actually leading a match that they didn't think was possible to lead, and they concede in a very disappointing fashion. So I think it's even more disappointing to be here a year later and talk about the same issues, whereas the squad, the main core of the team, is practically the same. Torino Stadium was worst. I'm just glad they didn't get injured. Absolutely. Torino Stadium looked like an absolute mess. Hello, bro. Hello, HH. I liked what I saw yesterday, and the defense is strong again. Okay, HH. Buongiorno, Ju, another good patron. Guys, if you're new to this, welcome. And if you like the show, the podcast, if you like our website, please consider becoming a patron. It really helps us, and we have a good family of patrons. And when you're a patron, you can get extra episodes. You get early access to episodes right after we record. You can get some gifts, and you get added to our patron group chat only if you want, because it's a group of psychopathic but sweet individuals. If you want that, consider becoming a patron by going to patreon.com/Roma Press. It really helps. So thank you. Jay Conrad, I think it was solid against the difficult to play Torino side. Just a combination of lack of focus and unlucky. There is that post, but the point is, I think that people take issue with that excuse of lack of focus. It's something that we've been mentioning time and time again. And I think it's come to a point where fans expect a team that has been led by Jose Mourinho, a team that has managed to preserve its core. As I said, more or less it's the same. The players that really matter to this team have been here for years and years. Under Mourinho, especially, they've been there. They've been a regular part of the squad. And somehow the lack of focus is something you can say in Mourinho's first season, when things were going south, when he was testing out the rotations, when things weren't going well, when he had made that purge in January and basically sent half of the team away. But when you're entering Mourinho's third season at this club, you expect the team to display a much higher level of maturity when it comes to handling a win, because you weren't playing for a draw, you were playing for a win in Torino's home. That's the difference. That's what people take issue with. Kevin, hi Andy. How much do you think we're missing Smalling when you guys discussed how few players we have that you can 100% rely on? I just thought about how Smalling was that for all of that last season. And yet, when Smalling played this season, we still looked lost, and he actually was one of the main culprits on several occasions. So there is something there. There's something there that something happened. During preseason, I guess, maybe the exit of Nemanja Matic, but I don't want to point at just one single episode. I can't imagine that something. I mean, maybe Mourinho came up with a new system. Maybe Mourinho came up with a new game plan. And this required of players to become more flexible, change their game. I don't know, but something happened, because Chris Smalling, mind you, was not the same Chris Smalling that we saw last season in the first two games of this new campaign. So I actually liked what I saw from Evan Dika last night. I like what I saw from Diego Llorente overall. Mind you, this is a guy that came on a dry loan again, a guy that I think was brought in actually to be a backup choice, finds himself playing as a starter game in, game out. Along with Mancini, he's the only one who has been there in the lineup since the beginning of the season. So we are, there is a lot of questions with regards to the moment that Roma are in, because 5 points in 5 games is definitely not enough. It's not good enough for a team that aspires to Champions League football. It's not good enough for a team that has, gotten to a Europa League final and was supposed to put most of its focus on the league this season. And somehow you find yourself below the likes of Frosinone and Torino. So that's something that doesn't work. You can't even. That's why I don't even want to focus on the individuals. You can say, oh well, El Shaarawy has been non-existent, and Zaleski. We can pile on Zaleski because I mean the guy has zero impact, if not straight out detrimental to the team whenever he's on. So, but if those things don't work, there is something. I think there is something bigger than that is not working and that needs to be fixed if Roma want to get back into it. The problem is you play against Torino on Sunday. You're looking to play at Genoa at the Marassi, so not even in your own home. You have to travel again. After traveling 3 times, you have to travel again to Genoa. You have to play against a good team that has shown, a lot. I think exceeded expectations for the most part in these opening weeks of Serie A. A team that needs points just as much as we do. And you don't even have proper time to prepare. You have a lot of question marks with regards to who's available. You don't know if you can rely on Houssem Aouar. Is he fit? Is he not fit? Sardar Azmoun, is he fit? Is he not fit? Lorenzo Pellegrini, the same thing. So it's complicated. Roma need to fix this as soon as possible, because it's not even that's the shame of it is we could have gotten a good result yesterday. And had we gotten a win, it would have all come down to mentality. Just as it comes down to mentality when we concede so late in the game. It's mentality. It's as you guys say, it's lack of focus, and lack of focus is mentality. It's a question of mentality. Um, Michael, what do you think about Zaleski's performance yesterday? No, I just said I don't want to I because then it comes out like I have a problem with some of the players. I don't. It's just I think it's pretty evident that we have some players that have zero positive impact on the team so far. How can you expect to have a team react in the second half or react as soon as they get a goal when you bring in players that have zero impact? Like right now, Zaleski, El Sharawi, Spinazzola, all players that have shown absolutely nothing. So even Christensen, I mean, Christensen at least has an assist to his name, so that's encouraging. But so far, we have a lot of players that haven't shown up at all, and that's what worries me. It's not even the fact, oh, we're not playing well, it's not fun. I just don't. I think the main problem is the fact that we don't have reliable performers so far this season. Like we are all excited about Lukaku because he's the only player to have shown consistently something across these three recent games. The field yesterday was so bad you can't play a pass without the ball jumping on the pitch. Oh, and mind you, I mean, if you saw what Bologna and Napoli were playing on, just so it's quite embarrassing what Serie A stadiums are right now. And mind you, Marassi is going to be worse. If it even slightly rains on Wednesday, we got a problem. Many missed passes after the goal. Felt like Lukaku was the only calm player in those minutes. Yeah, absolutely. Abdullah Lukaku is playing like the professional that you got him for. He plays with minimal support. He plays with almost zero clean looks on goal, and he makes it count. So I don't think we could be asking any more of Lukaku. You could be asking more of Dybala yesterday. Absolutely not on his game, but Lukaku has been excellent and doing exactly what you needed Tammy Abraham to be doing at this time around last season. Indica was impressive until the goal against. Move well, was tidy, and knew his assignment. I thought that yesterday was Indica's best performance, and that just goes to show you need to give playing time. You need to give players minutes. You need to be patient. Um, I think we are very quick to judge players that are just coming in, just trying to find their footing, and not hard enough on players that have been here a long time and are getting praised for something they may have done 2 years ago. Yes, I'm looking at Leonardo Spinazzola. Mm, what else? Yes, sir says good performance, but long balls from the back and lack of timely subs doomed us. We shake it off and get to business against Genoa. Well, do we? Because it's I want to be positive. You guys know me, and if you've been listening to the podcast, you know in my trajectory took me from being negative and from ranting to trying to stay calm and finding the positive in a lot of things. But I always think that playing away at the Marassi against Genoa, who, mind you, they played on Friday, so I don't want to be the conspiracy theorist, but they had one more day to prepare, actually 2 more days, honestly, to prepare for this game. So uh, I don't know how confident are you guys for this Wednesday game, because usually I am very confident when Roma need to improve, when Roma need to right a wrong, when Roma make a mistake. At least last season, when you saw this team make a big mistake, a costly mistake, you could count on them actually overturning that in the match afterwards. And I just don't know if we have it in us to for that kind of reaction this early in this season after seeing the kind of performances that we saw over the past weeks. A team that has 5 points in 5 games, that it has to mean something more than, oh, we're just unlucky, we hit the post 6 times and we lost focus. So that's where I think Mourinho needs to take more accountability, because obviously players, as we said, they have to show more. There are players that really need to show up, otherwise get lost. But Mourinho also has to put himself out there and acknowledge the fact that there is something missing. It's not all roses. It's not good. I want to believe, I want to be positive that we'll get it, turned around, and we'll get it turned around, because this is not a relegation side, obviously. But I want to see evidence that this team is trying to improve things, because so far across these first 5 Serie A games, I haven't had a single moment where I felt comfortable and confident in that the team are up and coming, are on the rise. Even after that absolutely incredible result against Empoli, which, as I said, the enthusiasm of that match has clearly worn off. I didn't have the feeling that this team has got it. I actually said it on the podcast that I felt like these guys didn't even realize what they were doing. Like, they didn't even realize that they had it in themselves to get a 7-0 result. And that's what Mourinho also said after our match. He said we didn't play good enough for a 7-0, meaning the team had no idea actually what they were doing. You could blame the opponent for that result. You can say Roma got lucky. I think that match did not show in any way that Roma will turn this around, will actually show some consistency. I think a match like yesterday, where you win 1-0 with a hard fought goal, actually does much more for you in terms of mentality and change in performances for the next few games, because it really reasserts your dominance. It gives you, a big confidence boost, showing, wow, even in a game where we looked crap, we played away on a terrible pitch, we still managed to get away with 3 points. Great. Unfortunately, that's not the way it went. So let's see. Andy HH says, Andy, half of the team is new players. Doesn't matter if it's third season. They need time, and we need to start to see the value of the newcomers. But I said it. I don't take issue with newcomers. I actually like what I'm seeing from Dika. I can see what Leandro Paredes is offering. I can see. I can see that Lukaku is exactly what the doctor ordered. I love it. I liked Awar. The problem is, I want more from the people that were here before that. And it's, for me, it's inexplicable that just because you brought in some new names, you can't count on, for example, Chris Smalling, or you can't count on Leonardo Spinazzola, players that are veterans. I'm not even taking issue with Nicola Zaleski, because that's bullying and he's a kid, but I want the veterans to show up. That's all I'm asking for. Leo says, at one point, it's not the field, the refs, the schedule, the players, it's the manager. Well, you can argue that, yeah, that at some point, that's the matter of accountability. It goes from the players to the management. It's so when we are faced with a situation like today, when we're looking at this game and we're feeling sort of sorry for ourselves because we squandered a golden chance to finally start building a proper streak, we have to imagine that the accountability has to be shared between the players and the manager. It's not good enough to just come out after a game like yesterday and say, hey, let's hope, let's wait for the next few games, and we'll stop conceding. I need to have evidence that this team actually can stop conceding, because so far they've conceded time and time again. The only time they haven't conceded is against an Empoli side that has still 0 goals scored, which is one of the most negative records in Serie A history to begin with the season. I mean, it's unbelievable what Empoli are doing, and so it's no feat to be able to keep a clean sheet against them. And we need to start addressing that, the lack of defensive solidity, which was your main strength. For 2 seasons, it was your main strength, and right now it's gone. So I need evidence that backs up the fact that we will get it back as soon as possible. You're being off character today. Never seen you this negative. No, I mean, that's guys. I'm not. it's this is not, I'm not juggling a character, I'm not putting in a performance. I need answers. If I'm positive, it's because I'm getting something from the team. That's the thing. When I see this team lose and I still come on and say let's move on to the next one, it's because I actually I'm getting something back in return from the team, showing me signs that they can shake it off. And I still think, as I said, there is no point in talking about a manager change. There is no point in talking about the January transfer window. Those things will not solve your problems. This team will figure it out. In the end, they will figure it out because they have quality. You cannot uh, think that this team can't get it back, can get back on track with the likes of Paulo Dybala, Romelu Lukaku, and some of the other players that have also been doing well and can do well. Brian Cristante, who's balling. So, um, but obviously, I'm concerned when I see a trend, and we're seeing a trend of a team that concedes a lot. And a team that makes stupid mistakes. It's just that I don't want to see Roma, a Roma team that I believed in so strongly in terms of what their defensive capabilities are, concede with such ease on such stupid occasions. That's it. Um, Yes, sir says, I hate to say this, but despite his costly mistakes, sometimes we had a better left back in Vina than we do now in Spinazzola and Zaleski. I would like to see Elsha fill that role from now on. I think we can all agree that El Shaarawy hasn't been very effective from the start. I actually always said that it's either you play him as a winger, as a left back, or you have him come off the bench as a super sub. El Shaarawy, there's a reason for El Shaarawy's career. He hasn't been a starter anywhere. He hasn't been a reliable starter anywhere. So the guy is not going to reinvent himself right now as a second striker and give, produce goals and assists. So you have to utilize him the way you've utilized him for the past 2 seasons. Um, why did Dybala play full time? I thought that Dybala had to take care of his playtime. Yeah, and Mourinho just said that Dybala knows his body well and he knows when he can play the full 90 minutes and we cannot. So last night, I think that was one of the few occasions where Dybala just wanted to give it a go. At the end of the day, this is a professional footballer that trains day in, day out to play 90 minutes. And last night, we had. We had a difficult match where Mourinho didn't feel comfortable taking off either Lukaku or Dybala. Um, Drew says it makes the emphatic Empoli win the exception rather than the rule. Yeah, I mean, it's disappointing because I think the Empoli win hints at the potential. This is a team that has the quality to have those kinds of nights, but it requires more of them. I mean, it cannot be just throw a long ball into Romelu Lukaku's feet if he gets it, if it gets to him, and hope for the best. It cannot be that. We're trying to build something. We're trying to be more consistent. That's the one thing that they've all been saying. Tiago Pinto, Jose Mourinho, the players, the one thing they've been saying is we want to give consistency to our performances. We want to not have those ups and downs that we've had for the past few years, where you go a whole month without winning or you crash out of one competition in favor of the other. Roma don't want to do it this year. They don't. They want to be competitive on both fronts, in the Europa League and in the league itself, but you gotta build something. You gotta start laying the foundation. Steven, another good patron, just joined in to put his hashtag Fonseca in. Restarted the clock, Steven. Milosh says we needed Awar instead of Al Sharawi. I think Awar wasn't feeling as good as Mourinho hoped for him, and he will probably start on Wednesday. We saw Awar play against the Sharif, but he was almost non-existent in that match. So I think we're dealing with a lot of situations where players are just not 100% fit, and then that's another thing we can talk about is there a reason as to why so many players are all dealing with injuries. I mean, Chris Smalling injured himself during the international break. What happened there? He pulled a muscle in training. I don't understand. Mourinho told you after a loss in Bodo that the team will win and go through. Now he's telling you, I like what I saw and the defense is solid again. Trust him. But that's what I'm saying. When he says those things, there is part of me that just can't help but trust him. So you got me there. But we can acknowledge that when something's not working, we can actually see it, right? If you concede the goal against Torino, that goal is preventable. Just like the goals against Salernitana were preventable, just like the goals against Hellas Verona was preventable. I mean, those are occasions where it's clear to the eye that Roma are doing something wrong. They're losing their man. They're not organized. They can't track the opponent. So it's not like we have to go around these things talking about theory, oh, in the future the team will learn. I mean, if there is a problem, I can address it, right? I can come on here and say the goal by Zapata, right, is a clear mistake that Roma gave him on a silver platter, and it cost us a game. That's factual. So it's not I don't think again, I don't think anything has been lost. It's 5 games into the new season, so we still have over 30 games to play. We saw that other teams in Serie A are just as inconsistent as us, if not more. Teams that should be doing much better than Roma are doing pretty bad, just as bad as Roma. So I wouldn't want to be in the shoes of a Napoli fan who just won the Scudetto and has now to look forward to Rudy Garcia basically demolishing everything that Luciano Spalletti built in the first place. Lukaku's link-up play is a joy to watch. I think Lukaku is doing a magnificent job of doing as much as possible with as little as possible. So he's doing what Tammy Abraham was unable to do last season. What we took issue with Tammy Abraham for not doing. It's Tammy Abraham, even on the many occasions that Roma gave him, on the occasions that Roma actually gave him something to work with, he was unable to do anything with it. And I actually like that Lukaku is not selfish. He has those moments where he can recognize when the moment requires of him to go at it alone. But for the most part, he's been amazing at helping out others. Um, Clearly, Mourinho is delighted with him. So Rover says tired. ... Why always concede in dying minutes? Oh, Rover, tell me about it. Tell John and I about it. Yesterday I had to connect at almost like at midnight to record the last episode, and that's not fun. When you're trying to come up with, when you're trying to think of something to say after a match like that, and you have to immediately put a camera in your face and try to make sense of this. There are too many players who are not in good condition yet. Yeah, that's there are too many players dealing with minor injuries right now, and it's clearly affecting a lot of the performances. The reason all players are injured goes beyond Roma. See the Premier League, Chelsea, United. It's a UEFA problem because of the many games. Absolutely, absolutely. But there needs to be some way of preventing even for Chris Smalling, who last season was rock solid. I mean, something has to go wrong if he picks up an injury in training, and it's a mysterious injury. We don't know what he has. Nobody has reported on it. So Steve says, let's say we break down the team's performance problems into percentages. We have players, quality on the pitch, coaching. How would you break it up when assigning blame? I would say it's 33% here, 33% there. It's pretty much that. It's It's we can't this obviously this team is not world class, we all know it. There are things that don't work. Obviously, if you keep one thing is having a lot of options in the midfield, okay, but then if you keep switching players, or if if you give us hope of Eduardo Bove, oh, he's finally being molded into this player that we can rely on, but then you don't give him any minutes in a game where I thought yesterday, I mean, yesterday he could have easily come on instead of Zaleski and given you much more, and I probably he would have been a better fit in that occasion. And what's the point, you know? What are your opinions about Zaleski? I said it. I don't want to get on his case because I think the numbers say it all, and the performances speak even louder. So let's give Tammy back to Chelsea and keep Lukaku. Obviously depends on how Tammy is feeling after his injury. Lukaku, a league above the rest of the players, says Gianni. Only so much he can do. Missing the Roma polo today, Andy. Oh yeah, I have another one. I have I think from the same season or the season before that, or maybe it was the 1819, the miserable 1819, the blue polo with the Qatar Airways logo. That's I'll rock it on the next live stream. Ju says if to be frank, injuries aren't just a Roma problem. Aston Villa, another team I semi follow, have nearly a whole no, and obviously, but you have to find a way around it. You have to. When you are Roma and you're trying to put in consistent string of results, you have to find ways around these things. It's not the first time. Last season, and we addressed this time and time again, and Mourinho has been very vocal about it, that last season, right? We were sitting third in March. We're sitting third. Beautiful. We play against Real Sociedad, and all of a sudden, players are falling off a cliff. Karsdorp, Dybala, Pellegrini, Smalling, all out with injuries. Llorente out with an injury. I mean, everybody's dying all of a sudden, and you have to find a way to play around it. Steve says, "Are you just saying Bova's name to make me happy?" No, I actually think a guy like that, Bova is like a guinea pig that you keep in this small box, and you basically continue to give him hope of being able to run around the living room, right? And every time you put him out, you put him back in again, and the guinea pig can't have a single moment where he's just free to roam around. That's Bove. Bove shows you glimpses of something. Mourinho goes out to the media, says, "Oh, I really like what he's doing," and then next game he gets 0 minutes. You see, like that's something that we can work on. That's something we can change, right? If you like Bove, if we like Bove, if Bove is showing clear sign of getting better, then why are you not playing him on a night that Hussein Ouar is not fit enough, Pellegrini is not available, Renato Sanchez is injured, Zaleski sucks, Spinazzola sucks, El Sharawi is horrible? Come on, he's 21, he's not 16, and he's played already. So those are things that boggle my mind sometimes. Um, Frank, the league messed us up with the schedule, and the refs let us kick the round. And mind you, Wednesday night, guys, Orsato, the mighty Orsato will be the match official. We haven't won a game with Orsato since 2020, and we'll have Mazzoleni on VAR. So next games are Genoa, Frosinone, Servette, Cagliari, Monza, Prague. We have to win these games. Guys, I've heard this so many times now. Oh, guys, the schedule. The schedule is so accessible. This is so easy. We have to win these. We have to win these. And then you look and you get maybe 2 points in 5 games. I don't know. I don't know what to tell you guys. Bove not playing yesterday is a Mourinho mistake. I'm glad we can agree on that, HH. Sorry. Rover team. Is Roma press allowed to be in Roma's press conference? If yes, maybe you can ask Mourinho's question. I know that John has, I don't have it, but John has the pass. John has a UEFA pass. I can't get it. I tried to apply for it, and somehow they didn't get back to me. So it's also how I wanted to attend the final in Budapest, and UEFA just completely straight up ignored me. But John has the pass, so in theory he could attend the press conferences. But the problem is that he rarely is in Rome. So definitely, if he is there, he'll go. He was there in the past. I think he used to attend when he was working, for the most part, in Italy in 2014, 15, 16. I think that's when he was attending with more regularity. Now not anymore, since he has a family and everything, and he's based in the US. So um but if you can get UEFA to give me that pass, I'll go. I'll ask him. I'll say, hey, what's happening with Bove, Mister? Leo, poor attacking form, poor tactics. Zaleski as all left back, right back, and poor time management to players like Bove is all the Mister's calls. There's definitely things that need to be worked on. Okay, we can agree. Players are not responding the way we want them to respond. Players that we expect to perform better are not performing up to a certain standard. And Mourinho is making certain calls that are questionable. Okay. And again, that's why I say these things, they can be worked on. They can be figured out if the team gets together and analyzes these mistakes and recognizes that these are mistakes that can be fixed. So, um, Paredes is two players in one, almost sent off in 60th minute, then saved us on the 7th with a sliding tackle. He's trying to replicate De Rossi so much. Might be sent off at the Marassi. We'll see. Again, Orsato is going to be there, and he's going to be on a mission. Yeah, I was also wondering why Bove wasn't subbed in yesterday. Very strange. Yes, Bove Army. Um, If now you have the option to change the manager and bring anyone you want, will you do it? HH. No, I won't do it. I don't know about you guys, but to me, it makes zero sense. These are decisions. Changing a manager 5 games into a season, it's when you're a team that has to avoid relegation. Okay. It's what you do when you're Empoli and Paolo Zanetti, who is, mind you, is a very respectable coach, gets sacked for Andrea Zoli. So basically, that gives you a hint about the state of Italian football, right? You change an up and coming manager with a manager that still belongs in 1992. And no, because it doesn't solve you anything. And also, we're not faced with a situation that is so irreparable that you can't change it by looking at what's inside the club. Mourinho is the second highest paid manager in Serie A for a reason. He has the pedigree, he has the experience. Use them to fix the problems, just like you fixed a lot of problems in the previous seasons. Okay, so think about how Mourinho's first season started. Up until that Conference League run, it was horrendous. We could all agree when we started drawing those games with Sassuolo, Hellas Verona. I mean, it was a shot to the heart. And then he found a way. He got to those players, he got in their heads, and they figured it out. So let's see, guys. I see we are all dealing with the same questions. Guys, please smash the like button. It's I see that today we are not, there's not a lot of us, so I appreciate everybody that's in here and that's willing to give this a bit of time of their day. But please like this live stream so that more people can join us. I really appreciate everybody who's been here today, because it's really not a stimulating kind of match that we can comment on. Steve says, I wonder if the lack of substitutions were thinking the game was in the bag and trying to save their legs for Wednesday. Not good justification, but the only one that makes remote sense. What I got from Mourinho is that he just didn't want to change too many things, right? Sometimes, yes, sometimes that's the case when you got a tight lead. I mean, think about it exactly what the example of Sassuolo last season. So think about it. November last season, we're playing at Sassuolo. Awful game. It's foggy, rainy, cold, miserable. We get that one goal. Tammy Abraham scores. It's a precious, precious goal. Mourinho, what does he do? He changes Zeki Salik, who up until then had been one of the better players, and he puts on Rick Karsdorp, who completely misreads the moment of the match and makes a silly mistake. I think on this occasion, that's the kind of uh, episode that Mourinho wanted to avoid, but the team was out of gas yesterday, and I think you need to inject some life into this team. Last night the only sharp performers were Lukaku, Ndika, and not much else, right? So if the team is not showing signs of life, you gotta give them a kick in the ass. How about Pagano? He showed remarkable performance at friendly match, but he doesn't have enough time to play. No, Pagano, it's a different matter because Pagano, again, it's when I talk about Bove, it's because Bove has played 50 games with Roma. Bove has played Bove is one of the main reasons why we got to the Europa League final last season. So it's a different thing. Pagano, it's a risk. Pagano, it's an additional risk, which uh, and he's the kind of like every other Primavera player, you need to choose your moment carefully when you're giving him a go. So I can understand the reluctance in giving him a prominent role right now because it's a delicate moment. Once you figure things out, maybe you then can give Pagano a go in the Europa League. Yasser says, I'm tired of excuses, pitches, refs. Winning teams don't externalize the blame. They figured out how to win regardless. Obviously, that's but again, I mean, this is Serie A. Everybody moans. So even Napoli were moaning yesterday. But it's true, obviously, that something's not working. You identify the problem. It's the problem will never be when the team is not performing. The problem will never be the potato field in Torino or the potato field against Genoa. No, it always has to do with the performance. At the end of the day, football is a sport that is played on a pitch by 11 men on one side, 11 men on the other side. So it's it's again, we're not building the atomic bomb here. Um Another question, will you give Jose a new contract today? I just want to HH, what is this? What is this, man? You used to be a patron on in the patron group chat, and now you're giving me these tests. If I had to give him a contract today, I said it time and time again, that the jury is still out, not only on Mourinho, but on Thiago Pinto, on the whole team this season, because I said it time and time again. We have to qualify for Champions League football. So if you ask Mourinho himself right now, do you want to sign a new contract with Roma? He's going to say, I will do it only. I mean, I would consider it only if we were certain to qualify for Champions League football. And that works both ways. Obviously, I'm always for consistency. I'm always for continuity. I've seen Roma being torn down time and time again over the years, and it never really worked to our advantage. So I always like when we build something and we give continuity to it. I like patience. I like waiting for an outcome. The outcome this year has to be Champions League football. Of all the people we have loaned in, who would you keep? I mean, we are 5 games into the season, but obviously, I think Diego Llorente is more than fine as an additional center back. Perhaps not starter material, but definitely somebody that I want the club to keep. Um, Otherwise, who else? I mean, Christensen hasn't shown much. Renato Sanchez has been injured, so I guess. I mean, Lukaku. Obviously, I mean Lukaku. If you're able to qualify for Champions League football, a player of Lukaku's caliber, you always have to try and keep, because he. I mean, we saw those touches, those goals are world class. Why just not run a 4-3-2-1? We can't go out there next game, same tactics, only to tie. Again, it's these are not questions that I mean I'm trying to to bear with them, but it really depends on what Mourinho wants to do, and if he recognizes that is part of the problem. I think we can all agree that something is not working in terms of the formation, and but until also the players don't start, I mean, if you keep trying to put on Leonardo Spinazzola, say, in the hope of getting something, and this guy gives absolutely nothing, then how can you hope to see this team perform differently? If 50% of your game plan is to go through the left wing, but on the left wing you have nobody that can cross the ball decently, then what's the point? Steve says Bove, Pagano, Zaleski are all clearly on track to be future leaders of the club. Seems like many people are giving up on Zaleski and forgetting he's still a kid. No need to beat that dead horse, but giving him minutes is more beneficial in the long term than benching him. Yes, but also reading the moment, Steve. I mean, Zaleski has been good and at times, but this is not it's not a player that solves your situation. I mean, if you're throwing Zaleski in the mix in a game of this kind, then you might as well throw Bove in. And Because you've given Zaleski plenty of daylight, which cannot be said about Bove. Um, yeah, but Llorente deserves credit, says HH. Yep, glad we agree on that. I just registered Lecce are third. Wow, yeah, Lecce are doing what Udinese were doing a year ago. Let's see how long this keeps on going. I think Serie A this year is more interesting than in the years prior because the smaller sides, I mean, even a side like Bologna, even Torino, are really doing it, are really intense, and they're a problem to anybody that faces them. Even Sassuolo, a Sassuolo side that has been disappointing. Look at what they did to Juventus. So you can't take anything for granted. I love you, bro, no matter what. Even though I am a Jose fan, but I fall in love with Roma. No, HH, it's totally. I love you too, bro, and I'm glad that we can, agree on certain things, disagree like gentlemen on other things. But it's the point. I mean, nobody's trying to defend anybody in here aside from Roma. I want to defend Roma. I want to defend what they're doing, but I need to see evidence that this is a team willing to make that step forward and give me what I want, which is Champions League football. I'm tired of coming on a Thursday night and getting on a call with John and trying to talk about an exciting match that just took place in Moldova. I want the bright lights of the Champions League. Roma needs another goalkeeper in January to be solid again. Carlos, dream on, buddy. Dream on. It's Rui Patricio or Mies VR. That's it. Those are the two goalkeepers. Frank says the game wasn't so bad. We were the ones who missed Cristante goal from winning. I mean, it was a slow game, but with the travel fatigue, it was expected. And that's yes, Frank, obviously, thank you. And but it's also that's why would have been so important to win. You would be looking at this Genoa match as another game where you just have to win by any means necessary. And instead, you're looking at this Genoa win as a must-win game, which we've been doing for the past several weeks. Sheriff was a must-win game. Torino was a must-win game, and the results are all there for it to see. It's 5 points in 5 games. Too bad. The match with Torino showed Llorente's shortcomings. His physical contact was too weak against Zapata. But I think for the most part he did well. Zapata is extremely difficult to contain, and that's why Mourinho oftentimes had Mancini helping him out. But Llorente is Llorente. Again, this is a player that this is his ceiling. And I think for what he was brought in to do, he's actually responding very well. I mean, this is a guy that was supposed to play in the Europa League and not much else, and instead finds himself starting for us game in, game out. Roman Legion, good morning, Andy. Yesterday was a game we needed to win, and it was set up for that. What we're lacking is a creative attacking midfielder, Sanchez, that can drive and attack the defense. But that's what Mourinho is, I think, trying to compensate with Cristante. He said it yesterday that he thinks Cristante can offer you more or less the same things that Renato Sanchez can offer you, obviously to a different extent. But I think we can all agree Cristante has been one of the better performers of this new season. He's shown the good signs of the good old Brian Cristante from Atalanta. This ability to drive the ball forward, this ability to play clean passes for players to have clean looks. He's fast, he's strong, he's doing everything he can. And I think to an extent, Leandro Paredes is also doing everything he can in a position that he may not be too familiar with, and also to a capacity that Leandro Paredes hasn't been a starter for a team in God knows how long. So Rocco, I will never forgive Pinto for gambling on Sanchez instead of pushing to sign Fratesi. We need mobility in the midfield. Oh God, Rocco. Roma pushed for Fratesi, but Fratesi's mind was made up a year and a half ago, after Roma backed out from signing him last summer. Fratesi just changed his mind and was set on Inter, and Inter actually ended up paying for him, which is something that Roma were not able to do, and that's why you got Renato Sanchez. That's why you didn't get Marcel Sabitzer, because both players you were looking at spending more than 20 million, and Roma were not able to do it. So yes, sir. Pinto messed up royally by not getting Fratesi or even Kamada and going with a player who can play half an hour within getting a muscle injury. I think we can all have different opinions on this transfer market. I don't want to talk about it. We've talked about it at length on the podcast with John, and I get headaches just thinking about the transfer window. Cristante doesn't run at defenders the way Sanchez does. I like Cristante though. Yeah, Cristante is doing everything he can to keep the team rolling. Yeah, I will be a patron again, but I will never join the WhatsApp group ever again, says HH. And good on you, HH. It's the patron group chat is not for everybody, obviously. And if you're a patron, we are really appreciate it. Doesn't mean you have to be in the chat. It's something you can sign up on or sign out of. It's totally fine. Samuel, Roma played a wonderful game yesterday. It's a positive to build on. I love the Mancini and Dica defensive flank. It's so beautiful for the future. Jose is genius. Samuel, I like this positivity. We were waiting for that kind of comment, so thanks for being here with us. Steve says nothing but sane, clear-headed level takes in the WhatsApp group. HH, don't know what you're talking about. Yeah, Steve is a good patron of ours, longtime patron, and HH used to be involved in our patron group chat, but sometimes the energy can be a bit excessive for some. So I totally understand when people back out of it. It's not for everybody. Yeah, Roman Legion says, I experienced the WhatsApp group patron chat for the first time yesterday. I'm still washing myself off. Yes, this is why I need to take 3 showers every day. Mukti, is it just me that can't see the good in Christensen, but Moose speaks good things about him in post-match? I think Christensen is a weird case. He's a player that, again, brought in on a dry loan. I didn't expect to see so much of him, honestly. And the fact that Karsdorp started in the Europa League and couldn't play yesterday, or wasn't played yesterday, boggles my mind. Because at the end of the day, I think Karsdorp is the more talented of the fullbacks. Christensen has been a big mixed bag, and expectations again have to be adjusted to the kind of player that we bring in. Christensen struggled at Leeds United. Why would you think that he would have an easier time or a bigger impact at Roma on a dry loan? These are things that either he starts performing as the season moves on forward, or that's the reality that we're dealing with, and obviously that's as I said before, time and time again, when analyzing our transfer window, if there is something that I think should have been addressed with more urgency, it was the wingbacks. Christensen can cross. That's my belief that Jose's picking him, and Karsdorp can also cross. Christensen has 3 assists. I think he's doing so far. Yeah, it's nothing. Again, he's no lights out. He's doing okay. It's mixed bag. It's in terms of just he is who he is. Miles, one of our good pages. Christensen is an assist machine. Please pump your brakes on the anti-Scandinavianism. Man, this anti-Scandinavia agenda is really troubling, right? I think we live in a world that is so anti-Scandinavian that something must be done. Sometimes fans are quick to focus on only the negativity because we drew. Man, that game was great game. I also love Lukaku positional sense of attack wise. I mean, Roma have the attributes to do better than they've been doing. I mean, it's not up for debate. 5 points in 5 games is super disappointing. Um, Perhaps we're not Scudetto contenders, and we shouldn't be where Inter are, but we can expect more of them. We should expect more of them, and it starts with. I mean, it started a long time. It started a few weeks ago, but it's now it starts with Genoa. Genoa has to be a win, and all the other games have to be a win, at least in my book. Um, of course, thank you, HH. We're about to close this live stream anyway, so thank you for attending. It was great to chat with you. Christensen's first touch is non-existent. I'm sorry. Well, yeah, I mean the guy's built like a wardrobe. You can't expect him to have the feet of a ballerina. Um, Mutki, no, 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 Mutki. This is Mads. This is a good patron of ours. He's being sarcastic. No, no, don't worry, Mutki. Mads is the most sarcastic individual in our patron group chat. So whenever he talks about anti-Scandinavianism, it's he's making a joke. So see, Mans, what you're doing. I have to explain these things to you. It's unbelievable. You see, you come in, you make trouble. Not only you make weird comments on the patron group chat, and then most of the newcomers are scared away, but then you come into my live stream and we have to explain to the people what your problem is. uh, Corey says we're not negative because we drew. We're negative because we have only won 1 game in 5 games. Absolutely, Corey. That is the whole point. Mutki says, sorry, missing the contact. Glad it's fine. Yeah, don't worry. You're safe here. This is a safe space. I want this. I mean, we keep it civilized, and we can say whatever we want, and everybody's friends here. So there's just some dynamics whenever patrons join the live stream that I have to explain. So, guys, I think we've analyzed this match enough. I really appreciate that 32 people joined us today. We have 29 likes, so pretty good. Yes, I saw that we had an expected goals rating 3.78. It's sick. I'm sick. I wanted to puke last night. I will say I'm surprised to see Salik stop starting a lot. It's Salik, another unexplainable strategy by Mourinho of giving him a start in a really important big match against Milan, and then all of a sudden the guy is hardly playing anymore. I don't know. He's been doing that since last season. So yeah, thank you guys. We are going to be closing this live stream soon. I wanted to thank you. If you haven't subscribed to the YouTube channel, please do so now, so that you know when new episodes are out and when I am recording one of these live streams. If this was your first time joining us, great, thank you so much. You can follow our website, you can follow our Twitter at Roma Press. If you want to support the show, you can go to patreon.com/Roma Press, and that really helps us on the podcast, on the website, and on the YouTube channel. It helps us expand and gives us the time of day to attend to anything Roma related. So I will tell John to take it easy on his rolling R's. I know. I will try. Thank you guys so much for joining me. I'll see you on the next live stream, which I believe will be on Thursday after we play Genoa. In the meantime, please make sure to listen to our latest podcast episode, which is available on all platforms, and it's available to watch here on the YouTube channel. So yes, I appreciate you guys for joining me. Have a wonderful rest of your day, and until next time, ciao.